Welcome to the NC Spin After Spin. Additional comments from our panelists just available on our website. I want to ask each of you, what did you wish you had said on last week's show, but you didn't? Chris Fitzsimon, I'll start with you.
Well, we talked about the repeal and maybe replace of the Affordable Care Act. And I think something interesting, if you think back to 2010, the summer after the Affordable Care Act was passed and the Tea Party movement really was energized, and there were these congressional town hall meetings where members of Congress were there were protests and people were yelling and they didn't want Obamacare. It might not be on the scale, but I think you're going to see a similar thing to that in the next few weeks. It's already happened in many places around the country where people who have been helped by the Affordable Care Act, sometimes even Republicans who had a pre-existing condition, are showing up. There are big crowds at some of these congressional meetings. Congressman Richard Hudson was going to have a listening tour in his district, and then he turns out, no, it was closed to the public. He's only going to meet with hospital officials about the Affordable Care Act. And increasingly around the country, Republican members of Congress who are advocating repeal are a little worried about their town hall meetings. So it's going to be an interesting few weeks.
Interesting. Joe Mavretti, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
I've been following Dale Folwell since he came to the General Assembly. He had some big wins as a representative. He did build a lot of his work on the work of other people. I think he's been bruised a bit. He's got a tough skin, and I think he has two of the toughest jobs in state government for him as a treasurer. The first is that the return on our state investment is shrinking, and the average return is diminishing. And second, the unfunded accrued liability for the state health plan probably equals or exceeds the annual budget. If I was a state employee, and I am a state retiree, I'd be very supportive of Dale Folwell because he holds a lot of their future in his hands. This is not a Republican or a Democratic issue. This is a dollar issue, and I think Dale Folwell can be the man for the time.
Interesting. Howard Lee, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
Well, I had spent some time talking with Chairman Bill Colby about the state board and both of us looking ahead to see how this whole relationship will play out. I was very proud of the fact that when I came in as chair, we were able to reconnect the superintendent and the state board in a positive way. And I thought that Chairman Colby and the current board had worked extremely well with June Atkinson in helping her carry out the duties of the superintendent. I know they're committed to doing the same with the current superintendent. I do hope, however, that the power of the state board to have oversight and to be able to develop policy and have those policies enforced will not be disrupted. And kind of like I think, Chris, you said, I'm confident that this is going to
Well, did you see the
change.
message that Bill Colby sent to the legislature? Said, wait a minute, you don't have any fights with us. We're Republicans. What's going on here?
He made that point with me in our conversation. He said, you know, I thought my friends over there would at least given me some warning that they were going to hit me inside the head with a club. But he said,
and you know, theoretically, this current board is essentially going to be Republican dominated for the next 3 years.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. So I don't understand the logic behind what they did.
It's interesting. John, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
We made some reference to the new strategic plan that the University of North Carolina came up with, one of the goals being to raise graduation rates. Very important, as Joe said, appropriate goal for the university system and really for all of higher education. They need to be aiming higher on graduation rates. There is a danger, just as we see in the K-12 system. If you focus just on one thing, it's like pushing on the balloon and that goes down and something else bulges. The risk is that if you focus too much on graduation rates, you will simply encourage universities to make it easier to pass and easier to graduate. So there also has to be, and the report in fairness mentions this, but there has to be a focus on higher academic rigor, higher standards, and that needs to be measurable. And this is something universities don't like. I mean, they viscerally react against this, but if you don't have some kind of standards that are objective, that are not objective, but they're external to each of the classrooms to evaluate how the students are doing, grade inflation is pretty much guaranteed.
Oh, yeah, and it's a problem on
and
our
it has been a
university
significant
campuses.
problem.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching the After Spin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.